Okay, good morning, Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Getting close. We're getting close. Last Shabbos of the year. Parsha Nitzavim Vayelech. It's Erev Slichos. We have a very special Kiddush this Shabbos in Shul. It's the last of our Elul Drasha series. Baruch Hashem, a lot going on. And two Parshios, Nitzavim and Vayelech, which round out the year with just a few more Parshios left. The Simchas Torah, Baruch Hashem. Aten nitzavim hayom kulchem lifnei Hashem Elokeichem. You are standing here today, all of you, before God. Rosheichem, Shiftechem, Ziknechem, V'shotrechem. The heads of the tribes, the elderly, the shotrim, the officers, coming to Shulchan Shabbos. Kol Ish Yisrael, all the people of the Jewish people. Tapechem Nisheichem. Women and children. The water carriers and the wood choppers. To pass over or to accept the bris of God, the covenant of God with you, and the curses that go along with it. We're referencing the Tocha in last week's parsha. Which God is going to make with you today. Laman Hakim, and Moshe Rabbeinu goes on, and this is going to establish you for many years. You're going to keep this bris with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's not only for the people that are present here today; it's also for the people that are here, that are coming in the future. It's for everybody. This covenant and acceptance of the whole Torah upon everybody is, bound with you right now. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem. What is the meaning of this language? Atem nitzavim hayom. Says the Vilna Gaon, something amazing. Hayom, hey yud vav mem, is 5 days. There are 5 days in which we stand before God. 5 days. We always stand before God. But there are 5 days in which we are judged in a certain way before the Ribono Shel Olam. Which days are those? What are the 5 days? 2 days of Rosh Hashanah. Day 1, day 2, right? Yom Kippur, Hoshana Rabbah, and Shmini Atzeres. Hoshana Rabbah and Shmini Atzeres. Those are the 5 days that we are standing Lifnei Hashem Elokeichem, and that is the remez in the pasuk. The Zohar does write also Hayom. Anytime that the Chazal or the Tanakh use the word Hayom, it's a reference to Rosh Hashanah in general. The day is Rosh Hashanah. But here, 5 days. And Rav Druk says there is hinted into here how we are successful through our judgment. And how are we successful? Kulchem lifnei Hashem Elokeichem. If you view yourself not as a yachid, not as an individual, but you view yourself as part of the corpus of Klal Yisrael. You view yourself as you are just trying to do your job along with everybody else's, and you are part of a klal, then that is a sure way to be successful amongst Klal Yisrael. The Zohar HaKadosh writes, it's a whole discussion halachically as to why we have 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, even in Eretz Yisrael, which is a very fascinating discussion in its own right. It's not like 2 days of Yom Tov Sheni. It's not the same idea. It's a very similar idea. Or some Rishonim, it might be. The Zohar writes mystically, in a deeper way, that each day of Rosh Hashanah has a different din to it, a different judgment to it. The first day, he says, is Dina Kashya. Zohar writes. The second day is Dina Rafia. Dina Kashya is a hard judgment. The second day is a soft judgment. Now, what does that mean? The first day, everyone is judged on their own merit, individually. Everyone is brought before God individually. The second one is soft, Rafia is soft. You are judged and how you are with the klal, how much you are needed for the klal, how much you care about the klal, how much you're invested in the tzibur. That is the second judgment. It's a softer judgment Because that type of individual, although maybe one-on-one with God, it's not a good meeting with the principal. There might be a few F's. You might be flunking science. You might not be pulling your weight in history. Maybe yes, maybe no. But you're the guy. You're the gal that brings in the chairs to get everybody to sit down. You're the one that cleans up the sit down. You help out. You help support. What? So then we look past day one. We focus on day two. We focus on day two. That's why it's called a dina rafia, a softer judgment, because we're not looking at the letter of the law. We're not looking at every single detail and every mistake and transgression, every mitzvah, and weighing it very, very specifically. We're seeing how this person is klape the klal. I'm probably going to say this a few more times over Yom Noraim season, but they asked Rav Chaim Shmulevitz, they would ask him, like, what do you need to be successful during Yom Noraim? What is it? So he said there are two things that somebody should work on. Number one is you should be ma'avir amidosas. You should be able to overlook mistakes that people do to you. Try to be a little bit more patient. Overlook, not a big deal. Called in Yiddish fargin, right? Let it go. It's a good word to use during this time. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. The second thing he says is that we should be people sheharabim tzrichim lo, that we are people that are needed by the klal. When you're needed by the klal, Hashem can't say, we don't need you. You're needed. People, rely on you for whatever it might be. That is so significant. And that's the idea of Hey Yom, the 5 days, Kulchem, Kulchem. And every single Jew is there. How much are we part of Kulchem? The Chasam Sofer has a different interpretation of what's going on here. Why is Moshe Rabbeinu getting very dramatic very quickly? Over here, Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem. He writes here the following. He has a yesod in general, that when someone's Rebbe passes away, on the day when one's Rebbe passes away, the Talmidim have they can create a tremendous amount of growth. There's a tremendous amount of bracha in the world when one's Rebbe passes away, and Talmidim can take that and make it their own. They can, and some people, he writes, even can tell when that day is coming. Yaakov Avinu, we know for sure, knew when he was going to pass away. Moshe Rabbeinu also knew when he was going to pass away. That's why they gave brachos before that moment. So he says here that Moshe Rabbeinu knew he was going to pass away, and he says, you have a choice. What are you going to do in that moment? Right? When there's a leadership vacuum, so that bracha, that hashpa'ah that Moshe has in the world is still very much present there. What are you going to do? Rabbi Reisman points out, though, that it's not always true that Talmidim are successful after their Rebbe passes away. Sometimes it's the exact opposite. The Gemara in Brachos, Daf Ches. What are you guys up to in Brachos now? Well past the Daf Ches. Okay, good. That's a challenge with photocopies. So the Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Chia bar Ami nishmei de'ula olam adam b'makom rabo shekol zman shemi ben geira kayam lo nasa Shlomo es bas paro. Shlomo Melech had a Rebbe. His Rebbe's name was Shimi ben Geira. As long as Shimi ben Geira, his Rebbe, was alive, he didn't marry the daughter of Paro, which is a very, very murky situation. Shlomo married Bas Paro. How is that possible? Did she convert? When did she convert? It's a very murky. We'll get there, hopefully. We're in the middle of Shmuel Aleph, but we'll get there one day. Bezrat Hashem. But here you see that once Shimi ben Geira died, his Rebbe died, what happened? He married somebody that he probably should not have married. So Rabbi Reisman adds to the Chasim Sofer and says, when one's Rebbe dies, the opposite's going to happen. Usually someone reacts to this in the extreme way. Either they try to fulfill the Rebbe's place, and they try to like grab that bracha into the world, and they become greater as a result, not in a competitive way, but or the exact opposite. Now that the influence is not there, the cameras aren't watching you, I could do whatever I want. So Moshe Rabbeinu was sensing this about the Jewish people. He was sensing this about what they were going through. So he said to them, you're going to have a choice. I was the one that taught you the Torah. I gave you everything, right? We've been through a lot together. I'm going to pass away very, very soon. The day is coming. And when that day comes, you're going to have a choice. Are you going to continue to grow with Yehoshua? Or are you going to say, sorry, you're not here anymore? It's over. But that's not on me. That's on you. That's on you. That is thought number 2 for today. Yeah.
How do you contrast someone like David seems that in his coming years that he didn't want to go? In other words, something about that.
You're pointing out when David HaMelech felt he was going to die, he saw the Satan, so he knew that the Satan couldn't kill him when he was learning Torah. Yeah.
Versus over here, you're saying they're accepting what they want to do something about. He was just like fighting it.
It's hard to compare those two. Moshe knew that he wasn't going to make it in Eretz Yisrael. We don't necessarily, right? And right, but there was no time frame when that was going to happen yet. Yeah, Sam. Yeah, no. So he knew. Yeah, it's a good example. Yeah. So Yitzchak also knew he was going to die. What? Okay, maybe he had a sense of it at that moment. I'm not sure. Maybe he had a sense of it. But we do see that Chazal, just add to this. Chazal, this is what the Chasim Sofer says it. When did Esav really go off the rails? When did Esav, he violated like 5 major Averos in one day? Rashi says in the beginning of Parshas Toldos. When was it? It was when Avram Avinu died. It was the day that Avram died. That's why they had lentils for that was like a shiva soup that they made. It was a morning type of food that they had. In that moment, right, that leaves a vacuum in the world. What's going to happen? Esav went this way. Yaakov went that way, right? They went in completely opposite directions, but no one stayed really in the middle of the road. Sometimes an opportunity to really step up. Yeah, yes. What? Pushed off what? Really? I don't know. That Rashi pushed off his death, okay? That's David HaMelech. That's David. And he was learning Torah until the Malach HaMaves distracted him. Yeah, I think there's someone tripped down the steps. Yeah. Rashi is related to David HaMelech. Rashi, I think, connects the generations. Yeah, that he is related to them. So if you could connect yourself to Rashi, you can connect yourself to David HaMelech. Yeah. Put it on your shidduch resume. Okay. Parshas Vayelech. The Torah says the following. Vayomer Hashem Moshe hincha shochev alav ima v'secha. You're going to die. V'kama mazeh v'zana acharei Elohei necha ba'aretz. What's going to happen is eventually the Jewish people in Eretz Yisrael are going to serve idols. By the way, hincha shochev ima v'secha. You are going to die and dwell with your avos, with your forefathers. V'kam. What does it mean, v'kam? Tchias HaMesim. The Gemara says, mikan tchias HaMesim min haTorah. That's not the literal translation of the pasuk. To translate the kama amazeh, the nation's going to get up and serve idols. Okay. The chara api vo vayomahu va'azatim. I will get angry at them when they eventually serve idols. V'starti fanai mehem, and I'm going to hide my face from the Jewish people. It's going to happen that a lot of bad things will take place to the Jewish people. Bayom hahu. Hello. And they're going to say, you know why? Al ki'en elokai b'kirbi. Mitzauni haraos ha'elu. They're going to say, you know why all these bad things happened? They're going to notice, the people are going to notice, because Hashem isn't there. Hashem isn't in our midst. Therefore, we are going to, this is why all these bad things are happening to the Jewish people. That's the puzzle. Right after this happens, Hashem says, but was that a good thing that the people notice what's wrong? They notice what happened. No? They're serving idols, and they say, you know what? That's wrong. What's happening because Hashem is not in our midst. Right after this, things get worse. Hashem says, I'm going to hide my face. Vanochi aster panai mehem vayomahu al kol ra asher yatsa ki pana el Elohim acherim. I'm going to double down and hide myself even more from them, and worse things are going to happen. Asks the Ramban. The Ramban is bothered by this. Why can you say they noticed what's wrong? How can it be that things are going to get worse? Says the Ramban, Einenu vidui gam. What they said wasn't complete confession. K'inyan v'isvadu es avonam avol hirer v'charata. What they did was a little bit of regret and a little bit of thought, but they didn't do complete tshuva. They said Hashem isn't here. Says Rav Aaron Cutler something very, very beautiful. When we're thinking about change, right? So we can sometimes change our actions. We can change the way that we look at things, the way that we think about people or ourselves, change our perspective. Very often, we don't get to the root cause of what is the problem. It says here, the Jewish people started to sin. They started to worship idols, which on the books is one of the worst things you can do. And then there started to be plagues and wars. And they realized, you know what's wrong? Hashem isn't with us. Now, was that a full recognition of what's wrong here? What they said isn't wrong, but it's not completely the truth. Einenu vidui gomer. It's not fully recognizing what's wrong. They didn't take ownership over it, right? So Rav Aaron Cutler said, sometimes even this, a half recognition is even worse. It's even worse. Because here, it's you, by not taking ownership over it, you're like kicking the can down the road and you're making things so much worse, right? You're blaming it on someone else. Here, they're blaming Hashem is wrong, right? It's my parents' fault. It's my husband's fault. It's not. And then I got angry, but they started it. They said it first. And then I got angry. So you're right. You're right. They triggered you. You're right. Hashem is not there. 100% Hashem's not there. But they did not take any ownership over their actions. Therefore, Hashem says, if you're not going to learn from this, then maybe things need to get worse before they get better. That's Einenu vidui gomer, is a very sharp language of the Rambam. And very important for us, instructive for us, as we are going through the season of change. And to think about really getting to the root causes of what is driving us and how to help us change effectively. And that is really considering getting to the root of it all. Okay, just to point out, on Slichos night, we're going to have a very special panel discussion with 4 Baalei Tshuva in our community about growth. okay, about growth, about challenging decisions that they have made in their lives, ways that they still try to seek inspiration. Clearly, at one point in life, they're very inspired. Do you maintain that level of inspiration, or is it a wax and wane? And how do they find ways to continue to grow, or there's still things that are very difficult for them to accept? That's going to be at 11:30 on Motzei Shabbos. A flyer is going to come out about this all. Baruch Hashem, it's in a Leibedik few weeks, but we will get that out to everybody. That'll be very, very special. Be Rita's ISIS also, to keep everybody awake. That will be on tomorrow night. Okay, so let's continue. What did I say tomorrow night? Oh, tomorrow night, Tisha my home. You're good. Tomorrow night, we're having Tisha my home with the Chazanim are gonna lead us in Zmira songs for Yom Narayim, the tunes. They're gonna present some of the ones that they really like, like that they're into, and explain a little bit why. And then we'll help get into the Yom Narayim spirit in that way. Men and women, yeah, of course. Yeah. The men are only the Chazanim. Okay, but yes. Men and women are right. Yeah. It should be really nice in our home tomorrow night. Motzei Shabbos is the program. Yes, I don't even know what day it is. I'm not even going to pretend to know what day it is. What? Today is Thursday. I don't know. School started. Yeah. Thank God. Okay. It's a beautiful thought from the Imrei Shefer. I saw it in Torah B'das. At the very, very end of Vayelech is right before Hazinu, which I think most people here know. But the pasuk gives context to the pasuk. Vayidaber Moshe ba'uznei kol kahal Yisrael as divrei hashira hazos ad tumam. Moshe says in the ears of all the Jewish people the words of the Shira ad tumam until its completion, right? And then it says Hazinu. Hazinu, Shiras Hazinu, is a song, and literally means that song. What does ad tumam mean? He sang it in completion. He sang it. Ad tumam. Tumam means to the end. So he finished the song. Like, thank you. And maybe that's literally what it means, but it seems to be extra, superfluous. Mahu lashon ad tumam. It's obvious that Moshe didn't leave out words from the Torah. So it says Imrei Shefer. I'm not sure who the Imrei Shefer is. Things that you could tell one speaker versus another sometimes. And you could tell when someone's speaking really from their kishkas, from their heart. And when you're speaking from your heart, it as a way to connect with someone else's heart. Penetrate someone else's heart. When Moshe Rabbeinu is saying the Shira, he gave them tochacha, kitavo, nitzavim, vayelach, a lot of tochacha, a lot of rebuke, a lot of chizuk to get them to shape up. And they all changed. They all were able to be mekabel, this tochacha. And that's what the pasuk means. Ad tumam means ad shenasu Yisrael tamimim v'tzadikim. Tamim. Yaakov ish tam. This doesn't mean he's simple. He's tamim. He should be tamim im Hashem Elokecha. Avram also was holech tamim. That he was able to, everyone was able to become a tamim v'tzadik by hearing the words of Moshe Rabbeinu. I thought of just an additional explanation here is ad tumam. Sometimes people don't feel comfortable saying everything that they need. They can't get it all out. They're afraid of the repercussions. Their anxiety, whatever it might. Moshe Rabbeinu was able to fully express. There was a very deep relationship, a relationship based on communication and trust with Klal Yisrael, and he was able to really fully express everything that he wanted to Klal Yisrael. Ad tumam. Either it means they became tzaddikim, right? They all wanted to change as a result of hearing the words from Moshe Rabbeinu, their Rebbe, or what it means is ad tumam, he was able to express it all completely. So we began with Atem Nitzavim Hayom, the 5 days. How are we successful in the 5 days of standing before God? We should be Kulchem. Kulchem, Dina Rafia, and Dina Kasha. That day when Moshe Rabbeinu dies, when the Rebbe dies, it's a day of extremes, day of growth, or Lo Aleinu, the opposite. Third idea was from they recognize Hashem's not in their midst. That's not fully accepting ownership over the mistakes. Here, ad tumam, what does ad tumam mean? And last idea is we have our last 2 mitzvos in the Torah. What are the last 2 mitzvos in the Torah? Writing the Torah and Hakel. This year's Hakel. I think this year's a Hakel year because Hakel takes place. Oh no, sorry. This past year was Shemitah? No, 2 years ago was Shemitah. Sorry. Last year's Hakel year. It takes place the year after Shemitah during Chol HaMoed Sukkos. All the Jewish people come together. The Melech reads from the Torah, and the Torah explicitly says that men, women, and children are obligated to go. Everybody's obligated to go to this mitzvah. Now, the Gemara says, Taf lama bo. Why do children come? Not that they're obligated to go. Children aren't obligated to mitzvos, but it gives responsibility or more chiyav or more schar to the parents who bring them. Ask Rav Nosson Adler, this is a bad idea. Why not babysitting services? Put all the kids somewhere else, leave them, drop them off at a ball pit, a Gan soccer, and then everybody go to Har Bayis and hear the king lane from the Torah. Why does the Torah want all the children to come? So, honey, what were you saying? It's also Roshan. So there, over the next few weeks, what? Yeah, there's an amazing Kli Yakar. I think I mentioned this a few years ago in a drasha for Simchas Torah. The Kli Yakar writes that Chazal fashioned Simchas Torah after Hakel. And that we need, like in our generation, again, this Simchas Torah is relatively new. We need this every year. Truth is, maybe we need this every Shabbos in a certain way. In a certain way, our shuls have come in a very positive way. Very encouraging for children of all ages to come. Nosson Adler says, we see from here, 100%, kids need the experiential, right? My kids last night, I was learning with one of my children, and she said to me, I can say she, and I'm not giving it away. And she said to me that I look forward to tasting the honey on the challah. It's not like it's experiential. Like over the next few weeks, so much of what we do is not like textual and this. We're going to be learning, and there's inspiration, but it's so much of the experience. What? Hands-on, tactile, which is so important to include everybody in. It's really, really amazing. Really amazing. So he says that comes at a cost. It comes at a cost. Your kid's tugging at you, you're davening Shemon Esrei, and they're like, my candy fell on the floor. Or I have to go to the bathroom. And that comes at a cost. It comes at a cost. And he says, the cost is worth it. You see from here that even though it comes at a cost, it outweighs, right? The benefits outweigh the cost. And that is valuable. It's important to bring our children to the base of Mikdash. It's more important to bring them than maybe for you to hear every word. Okay, you miss a word. Okay, we'll talk about that with shofar. It might be a little bit different. We have to be careful. But it's not a question. It's not a question that it's so important that they're there. It's so important to have them there. And that is, and sometimes, even though you lose your kavanah a little bit, and there's a little bit of a focus elsewhere, it's worth it. It's worth it for the experience of the Mikdash, the experience of the Yom Kippur. With that, I wish everybody a wonderful Shabbos. Yeah.
So last night,